Thank you very much. As you heard, my name is Itzhak. I find it a little bit amazing that I'm speaking on behalf of Nielsen because I am a product of an acquisition which helped transform, or of one of many acquisitions that helped transform Nielsen. And the topic of the conversation today is change. And we believe that change comes through three elements: culture, values, and leadership. Many companies today, in order to meet the future needs of the changing world, need to transform themselves. And in order to be successful in your transformation, you have to have the right culture, you have to have the right values, and you have to have the right leadership. The world around us is changing, and I decided to show you some statistics out of many that we have at Nielsen today. So 80% of the world's GDP growth is in emerging markets today. Buying power of Hispanics to reach $1.5 trillion by 2015. In 5 years, 50% of the US population will be 50 plus and spend 50% of consumer packaged goods, but only 5% today of advertising money is being spent on this segment. In China, the age of 50 plus population will grow from 186 million to about 450 million by 2050. On a global scale, women control 66% of consumer spending, twice the size of China's GDP, and women lead the way on social and mobile usage. 420 million people use the internet daily. 54% of them are doing that by mobile phones. People in India spend today 2.5 hours per day on mobile devices, and as many of you know, in India, for example, the infrastructure is so bad that most people don't have any other means of communication but a mobile phone or a prepaid phone. Now, here are two examples, and Josh stole one of my examples, but here are two examples of industries that transforms, and the leading companies in those industries fail to transform and therefore failed. So for example, how many people in this room had a Sony Walkman? All of us. Sony knew and had the technology to move into digital music, but they decided not to. They decided not to because they didn't want to take on the music industry and all the follow-up that came with what Josh discussed today with adapting digital music. Apple, which my wife will make fun of my accent with the word Apple, but Apple did. And what Apple did is it found a solution that worked for the music industry and worked for the consumers out there, and look where we are today. And the same happened to the photo industry. All of us use cameras, all of us use film. Kodak was the leading company with film, and look where they are today. So I joined Nielsen in 2007. In 2007, Nielsen was owned by a holding company called V&U. We were not known as Nielsen, we were known as, or unknown as V&U. We had a collection of companies. Nielsen at that time, what they did is did acquisitions, let those companies, or V&U at that time, let those companies operate under their own management team, have their own brands, and run as a holding company. What they did, what they had also is most of the companies that were acquired, the entrepreneurs that came with the companies, many times did not find the cultural fit and actually left. When I joined the company, a new management joined the company, and we decided to transform ourselves mainly through values, through the culture, and through integrating everything we have. And what we did is we simplified everything that we did under two businesses. One is watch, and the other one is buy. The media business of Nielsen, which was Nielsen Media Research, became our watch business. Our consumer business became our buy business. All the brands disappeared, and we operate under one brand called Nielsen. Now, everybody knows Nielsen. Nobody knew VNU, which clearly simplified the way we are doing business. And we all operate under 3 guiding principles: simple, open, and integrated. And our values actually drive or drove our transformation in the past and will drive our transformation going forward. And this is one of the main reasons that a guy like me, who is an entrepreneur that started many businesses in his life, survives in a large company, or actually thrives in a large company like Nielsen. Because the values allow me to operate and the freedom to succeed under the umbrella of a large, big company. Now, every company has the challenge of organic growth, and everybody knows how painful it is to grow organically. Inorganic growth is mainly through acquisition, and you do acquisitions mainly in order to get new products, new technologies, new clients, buy competitors. And in order to be successful as a company, you have to do the right combination between our organic and inorganic growth. And I want to discuss 2 examples today. Everybody knows the Nielsen home panel, the Nielsen TV rating panel that have been operating for years, and everybody knows that the rating points that we give to every specific show. What we did in one of our deals last year, we combined credit card data from a company called Argos and fused it on top of our TV panel, giving us not only what they watch, but also what they buy. So the executive vice president of ABC News in the last upfronts stood in front of the advertising world and said, our show has this rating. Our competitor show on the same time slot has this rating, same rating. But we can tell you today that on our shows, people that actually spend money at the Marriott Hotel do 4-to-1 better on our show. And therefore, we can target better advertising dollars based on credit card spend. This actually gives also the ability to Argos clients, which are the financial institutions, in order to utilize their advertising money on TV much better, because they know what people spend and what people buy. So it was a partnership born out of mutual interest. The other examples that I would like to give is an acquisition that we did together with a strategic partnership. So 60% of the tweets during evening time have to do with TV. And we did a partnership together with Twitter and a small company that we acquired called Social Guide to do what we called social TV rating. And now, since last month, you can see the TV ratings, and side by side with the TV rating, you can see the social TV rating and identify not only the chatter, but what people talk, who are the influencers that talk, and it gives you another advertising ability using our TV rating. And this is a perfect example of an acquisition and a strategic partnership with a leading force, especially in social media. Now, the market for acquisitions is very cluttered. I just put on the screen behind me the buyers, because I think we have the maps for companies that are target companies is even more cluttered than this. In order to be successful, you have to have the ability to know who your competition buying are and what are the potential targets out there. And my group today at Nielsen is very hard at work in order to identify everything that is out there. And one of the things that I usually proud myself is whenever a banker comes and presents us potential acquisitions, especially on the digital side, which is the fastest moving side, we basically know around 90% of the companies that are being presented to us. And most of them we actually met or spoke to at least once. It is a very tiring, long work because the market is moving. And we are now in New York, and everybody in New York knows that the startup community in New York is very, very strong. Just on the Israeli angle alone, there are today 1,200 Israeli startups that are working in the United States, 300 in New York. Cluttered field, but in order, again, to be able to transform yourself and in order to see what is out there, and in order to do successful acquisitions, you have to know what is out there. So our aim at Nielsen is to be a magnet for startups. So we actually started 2 activities. One is we have now our own incubator in Israel, which is close to my heart. The government in Israel, like governments around the world, give official incubators that win licenses, 85% of the money investment per company is a grant from the government to be paid back only if the company is successful. And we won a license, and this year we operate an incubator in Israel. And now we have 7 companies that we actually invested money in. Second thing that we did is we started a venture fund called Perek Ventures, which I will add. Nielsen put $10 million into the fund. We invited outside investors that are strategic, like Tata, the Indian IT players, and some of the packaged good companies that we're in discussion with to sit side by side with us and see and do the Series A and Series B in those startups, and invest money and see what is out there and get an early view into product, services, technologies that can supplement their business and our business. And in this world of startups, what we discovered is it's not always a company that you look to acquire that might supplement you immediately, but also companies that can attribute data but continue to operate independently. So there are many companies out there, a company like Poach-It, which does coupons and tracking of product and services, and we are interested, when they go to be big enough, we will be interested in acquiring data from them, companies that track supermarkets, and so on. To finish my speech and go back to the beginning, open, simple, integrated. It sounds very simple, but for a large organization to adopt those values and to simplify the message and to be presented to the world as open to do business and integrated as a company speaking the same values, and to be simple in your message out there, it's hard, but it's definitely worth it. Thank you very much.